Hi there Booktube, it's Eleanor here, and today I'm going to do some recent reads. Unfortunately, some of the books that I've read recently I haven't really enjoyed. Quite a lot have been mediocre, sort of 3-star reads for me, but there has been one in particular that I have really not enjoyed, and I will get to that in a bit. The first book I want to talk to you about is a book that I have read for the Valentines readathon, which is happening this month, and that is Lick by Kylie Scott. This was to meet the challenge of a book that was said to sort of have a steamy scene. I can attest that that is true, and this was quite a good read. It was, you know, like it says on the tin, it was the story about a girl. She wakes up in Vegas after a night out. She can't remember anything. She's puking her guts up over the toilet in her hotel room. There is a man there. She doesn't really know who this man is. He tells her they got married, and then it transpires that he is the lead guitarist in a world famous rock band, and we just follow along with that. So we follow along with what happens because of that, how they both managed this unusual occurrence. There was lots of gaping holes in this. We never really found out what happened in Vegas. We never really find out all the things that I would have liked to. But this is really, these sort of books, the plot part of it is really just the precursor to get to the nitty gritty in between. I mean, really that is what this is about. I started reading this one evening just before I went to bed, and I thought, oh, I'll read 10 pages and get myself all tired and ready to go to sleep. An hour later, and you know, 70 odd pages into this, so I can say that this was an addictive read. I ended up taking it to school and to read on my lunch break, so you know, it has that going for it. It is a proper sort of just easy smutty read, so I gave it 3 stars. It was enjoyable. I wouldn't, you know, go into it looking for much more than just a fun time, but it was a fun time, and it's one of those ones with a series, so I think you're going to follow all the different members of the band as they fall in love. Yeah, so a 3-star for that one. Another book which fulfilled the challenge in Valentines of reading a book from a library, which has gone back to my school library, is Goth Girl. I shall put a picture of that up here. This is a middle grade book, and I'd heard that it was just really fun and a really fun read, and it was. It's about Ada Goth, and she lives in Gormgast Hall with her father, a load of servants, and some very strange other people, monsters and all sorts. But she doesn't really have any friends. One day she meets a mouse who is a ghost mouse, and they end up going on this sort of adventure to try and work out this mystery, and along the way she ends up meeting different people and making friends, and sort of discovering a bit more about herself on this sort of mystery journey. One of the things I really liked about this was all the literary references. There was a lot of literary references in there that perhaps younger children might not get, but as an adult I really enjoyed those nods to some of the literary favourites. One of the things I really didn't like though was I just felt it lacked a bit of depth, and I know it's middle grade, but I don't think that's an excuse for not having sort of a depth to the plot and the characters. I really enjoyed the way it was packaged. It's a beautiful hardback, naked hardback, with beautiful cover, and all the way through are these wonderful illustrations. It's really well packaged as a book, but as I said, I just felt it lacked that depth, and it's kind of like a sweet treat that was nice while I was reading it, but won't be one that I remember forever. And so again, I gave that one 3 stars because I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. Another 3 stars was one that I listened to on audiobook from Audible, and that is Whiskey and Ribbons. This is an adult contemporary book, and I'd heard about it on a couple of channels, and I thought it sounded like something I'd like to give a go. When I listened to the audio sample, I really enjoyed the narrator, so I looked forward to listening to this one. I think really at the heart of this one, it's a story of love and loss and recovery. We're following Evangeline and well, we're really following 3 characters: Evangeline, Eamon and Dalton. So we get 3 points of view throughout this. At the start of the book, Evangeline is living with her 6-month-old son, and living with her is her husband's brother, Dalton. We find out early on that Eamon has been tragically killed in a work incident. He's a policeman, and he was tragically killed in the line of duty when Evangeline was about to give birth, and so she has sort of fallen apart, and Dalton has moved in to sort of help. And we follow this past and present flit for all the characters. So we look back to the sort of just slightly before when Evangeline and Eamon met, and we follow through that path of all 3 characters, and then we're following what's happening now, where through their grief Dalton and Evangeline have become extremely close and are moving into something more, and we're looking at the logistics of that and the sort of emotional weight that carries, and doing things for the right reasons, I suppose. One of the things I really liked in this was I really liked the relationship between the 2 brothers. It was really nice to see brothers that hugged and had a really nice loving relationship. I don't often see that portrayed so much in books, so I really enjoyed that. However, I did find that the pace slowed down a little bit in parts, and for me plot is quite a big thing, and I felt like it slowed down a bit too much for me and left me at points feeling a little bit sort of bored. But I really did enjoy it, and it was really good on audiobook. The different characters were done really well by the narrators, and I would recommend it if you fancied giving it a go, listening to it on audio. So I ended up giving that one 3 stars as well. Okay, and on to the book that I really did not like, and I liked enough another book by this author, but for my book club this month I read Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney, and I really didn't enjoy this book, and I think had it not been for my book club I would have put this down and I wouldn't have finished reading it. In fact, I listened to it on audio, and I think that was a little bit of a saving grace for it, because there are no speech marks in this book. So when people speak, there is no speech marks, and so I know that a lot of people that have read the physical copy of this have said that it makes it very difficult to tell when people are speaking or when it's just their sort of internal monologue, or there is sort of internal speak. I was lucky because you could kind of tell from the way the narrator read the book. I just didn't like any of the characters, and there was no one in this book that I could even like an ounce like, and it wasn't like they all started off unlikable and then one of them grew on me, or they grew on me. I just didn't like them. They were so self-involved, they were so selfish, and yeah, I just really didn't like this book. The story is about our main character Frances, but we also follow her ex-girlfriend Bobby. Frances and Bobby are sort of a team. They write together to do this sort of word poetry, and they have dated since school but have previously broken up, but they're still very good friends. Bobby is a lesbian, Frances is bisexual, and then they meet this woman who is like a journalist or writer. She's much older, you know. Bobby and Frances are in their 20s, she's I think in her 40s or 50s. She's, you know, way more experienced, and she invites them over to hers, and they meet her actor husband, and there's this sort of conversation and this relationship that builds between them, which makes no sense to me. And then there's sort of an affair that happens, and these sort of undertones of that, oh, you know, I'm so cool, I don't care about all these affairs that are happening, and you know, I've had affairs and you can have affairs, and then there's just so much in this that I just really couldn't get on board with, and I just found it very shallow. I found the characters shallow, and they lacked depth, and they were boring and fell flat, and so not one for me for sure. And I gave this one 2 stars. So This one will be going to the charity shop. And it was a 2 stars. So quite a lot of 3 stars and a 2 star. So come on, I need a 4 star or a 5 star soon. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed I can get one soon, because I am starting to lose hope. Anyway, that's it from me. Those are my recent reads, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye for now, BookTube.